it's Dianne at Minerva. I hope you're all having a super week. And today I'd like to share a make with you for this gorgeous little new look blouse. We're going to be making version A right here with the long sleeves and the frill detail at the neck. The pattern number is 6560. And what we're going to be using today is this beautiful Minerva exclusive viscose challis. And this one is called Midsummer Magic. Has a wonderful vibrant flower all over it. They rather look like they've been coloured in places. It's really pretty. Pinks and reds, bright yellows and orange. It's going to be gorgeous. So if you'd like to sew along with me today, everything will be tagged below. Remember to wash and prepare that fabric before you begin. When you've done that, check your sizing on the back of the packet for you or the person you're making for. When you've done that, we're ready to begin sewing. So let's go and cut our pattern pieces together now. Here are our pieces for our blouse. This is your front piece. You're going to cut two pieces. This is the straight grain. Make a note of the broken line at the front here. This marking here for the right side buttonhole or button placement. And then the notches and circles. Here we have the back. This piece you're going to cut one on the fold. Here is the fold. Make a note of the dark markings and the notches. Here we have your sleeve piece for view A, and we're going to cut two sleeves on the straight grain. The straight grain is here. Note your circles and your notches. Here we have your front flounce for views A and B. You're going to cut two. The straight grain goes this way. Make a note of your notches and circle. Here we have the yoke front. Again, you're going to cut two. Make a note of your markings. And your back facing piece, you're going to cut one on the fold and one of interfacing. Here is your back flounce. This one is also cut on the fold here. Make a note of your markings. Here we have your tie for A, B and C. We're going to cut two pieces. If you're making view C, you need to cut four. So bear this in mind. Make a note of your notches. This is the straight grain. This is your front facing. You're going to cut two of fabric and two of interfacing. This is your straight grain. Note your markings. Now we're ready to begin making our blouse. So first of all, wind half of your thread onto your machine spool and check you're using the correct needle. So I'm using a universal size 70 today, a standard needle. You may wish to test this on a piece of scrap fabric before you begin and see what works best for you. Now when you've done that, we're going to take our front neck pieces and down the long neck edge we're going to stay stitch 1.3 centimetres away from the raw edge. So let's do that first of all. Now stay stitch around your back neck edge. And then we're going to stay stitch our yoke neck edge. So you want your pieces this way up, look. So you've got it this way with one notch at the top and two notches at the bottom, and we're sewing down this side here. Now we're going to create our darts in our back. So we have markings here. At the centre we have two here, and then we have markings at the bottom. Now we want to work out to a point here, especially at the top where it comes up your back, and then it goes to the widest point and then it goes narrow again. So I find it's best to start from the middle, so bring those two small circles together, there and there. We're going to start from this point and we're going to work out to a gradual V here, and it's going to run off gradually. We don't want it too sudden, so it'll create a bump. And I find it's best to do it this way. Work from the centre outwards, then go back to the centre, back tack and work down to the bottom. Back tack to begin. Then you're going to knot it at the end and pull that knot down towards the point that you've just created. Going to go back to that centre point. Make sure you get back in the same stitches. Back tack again and work towards your markings at the bottom. Now on your front pieces you have a notch here and here at the shoulder. You're now going to do a line of gathering stitches on each side between those notches. Now we're going to join our yoke to our forward shoulder here. So we're going to need to pull these gathering stitches and match our notches. So we have these two notches here and here. So pin this in place and pull up your gathering stitches to make sure that this fits. So if you start with one side, then you can gently pull on your gathering stitches until it fits. Even out those stitches as you do so. Pin it the rest of the way and stitch your seam with a 1.5 centimetre seam allowance. When you've done this, we're going to press it up towards the yoke. Now we're going to pin our front to our back at the shoulder points, matching your notches here, and also at the side points. Again, making sure that you line up your notches. When you've done that, we're going to stitch these seams in place with a 1.5 centimetre seam allowance. And after we've done all that, we can edge finish our seam. So you can either zigzag or overlock, and we'll also do these shoulder points here as well if you've not done so already. Now cut your length of ribbon in half. And on the right front inside seam, we're going to stitch 1/2 of the ribbon like this. Go over it a number of times into the seam. And then on the left front at the circle, we're going to stitch our other piece of ribbon. So pin it in position first of all, and then go over that a number of times to make sure it's nice and secure. Now we're going to stitch our front flounce to our back flounce at the shoulders, but we're going to use a French seam. So what we're going to do is we're going to put wrong sides together first of all, and we're going to stitch roughly about 7mm. So quite often it's 6 and 6, but because we've got 1.5 centimetre seam allowances, you want to make it add up to 1.5. So it's up to you which way around you do this. So we do about 7mm for the first one. So this seems strange, I know, stitching it on the right side of the fabric, but then we're going to turn that to the inside. Now you can press that before you do this. Then we're going to turn it in and we're going to be catching that inside. So now you want to do it slightly more, so 8mm. So you could do the first one even smaller if you wish, if you're worried about not catching that in. And do this next seam a little bigger, if that works better for you. And you're catching in that raw edge then, you see. Now we're going to hem our flounce. Now there are two ways you can do this. Now I'm going to do mine on my overlocker, and I'm just going to do a decorative edge rather than hemming it, because I just feel on a flounce like this it makes it look nicer. So I'm going to show you how I'm doing that. But if you want to hem it, you need to stitch 1.5 centimetres away from the edge first. And then you're going to press under 6mm, stitch close to the edge, trim away the excess, and then turn it in again another 3mm and stitch close to that. But the way I'm going to do it on my overlocker is you're going to need to take away this seam allowance on your flounce before you do this, because we're just doing a decorative edge on this one. So you want to trim away 1.2, I would say, 1.2 centimetres, and then just leave yourself 3mm just for slicing off with your overlocker threads. And then make sure you've got dark threads or matching threads for your fabric on. Here, if you open up, yours is probably the same or similar, consult your manual. You're going to change your length of your stitches so that you're bringing them in close together. So I've took mine right down to a number 1 here. And you can make it narrower as well, but I'm not going to because I quite like the width that it is. Then we're going to trim it. So trim away your excess first of all. Now stitch around the edge of your flounce. Now you're going to pin your flounce to your neckline, matching your centre back points, your shoulders and your large dots at the front here. Now you do need to pull on the top a little as you pin it in place. So just even that out as you go along. Then we're going to stitch that in place now. And do make sure that your flounce is facing outwards, it's facing the right way. Now we're going to join our shoulder seams of our facing. So apply your interfacing first of all. Then we're going to join at the seams here and here with the notches matching. Now pin your facing to your neck, matching the centre back point, the shoulders and your notches down the front. Now we're going to stitch that in place. Now stitch along the bottom of your facing 1.5 centimetres in from the bottom of the raw edge like this. And then we're going to trim away that bottom excess here. And then here we're going to be turning up a narrow hem at the bottom. Do that on both sides and then we're going to understitch around our facing. Now trim away some of your excess seam and then we're going to press the seam towards the facing and understitch as far as we can around the neckline. So we do this a couple of millimetres into the seam here. We're doing it on the inside, on the facing. Now stitch your hem in place. Now it's double fold, so you turn it under a small amount and turn it under again. And overall it's 1.5 centimetres. Now stitch a line of ease stitching around the top of each shoulder. And we're going to stitch our side seams in place. So matching your notches at your underarm points and stitching this with a 1.5 centimetre seam allowance. Now press under 1.5 centimetres at the bottom of each sleeve and then turn it under again. But when you're stitching it, you need to make sure you leave a gap just here near the underarm seam so that you're leaving space to thread your elastic through. So we're forming a casing at this point. Next, using your sleeve elastic guide, you're going to cut 2 pieces of your elastic. Now you may also want to test this around your wrist because I have very small wrists. So I find that I like to do it a little bit smaller than what's suggested, because if I do it to this size it will come out bigger on me. So you may have bigger wrists, so you may wish to just test this first and not just rely on this, because if we always go on the set measurements, we're all different shapes and sizes, aren't we, and it may not work out right. So do measure your wrist and check for yourself whether this is the right size for you. Now we're going to thread that elastic through your opening of your casing. Now you can use a pin or a bodkin, it's up to you. Large safety pin. I do like to pin the other side with a safety pin as well, just to make sure that it doesn't disappear through the end as we're pulling it through. Now stitch your 2 ends of your elastic together and then you're going to seal up the hole here where you've threaded it through. Now with your top the wrong way round and your sleeve turned the right way round, we're going to insert the sleeve into the hole. Now make sure you've got the right side. You'll know straight away if you have, because when you line up the underarm seam here, you have notches. So there's 1 notch on this side and 1 notch here to the front. So pin those in position along with your underarm seam point. and then you have 2 here, look, and 2 on the sleeve, so line those up. Then you want to line up your circles and your shoulder point. And when you've got all those points in position, you're going to pull on your ease stitching and continue pinning it the rest of the way around. When you've done that, we're going to stitch this in place. Now take your 2 long tie ends, and at the notched end you're going to join them together right side facing. When you've done this, you're going to fold it in half lengthways. We're going to stitch down this edge with a 1 cm seam and all along the long edge. Now when you arrive at the centre, near the centre point, you're going to leave yourself a small opening to pull it through. Now we're adding in a buttonhole on your right front at your circle here. So this is where it crosses your body, and on the other side it's going to have a button where it fastens. So it's just 1 small button. Consult your manual for your buttonhole function. Mine has this buttonhole foot and a 4-step feature. So we do a bar first of all across, and then it goes back, and then we return to the bar function, across again, and then it comes towards you in the final step. Now your buttonhole feature may be different, it may be a 1-step function, and that will do it all in one go, and it often sets your buttonhole size when you start as well. So just check your buttonhole size before you begin if you're doing it like me, and I just prefer this one because I feel like I have more control over it. So make your buttonhole and then cut it. Don't use your unpicker to do this because it can slice through your buttonhole sometimes and ruin your garment. So either use your scissors, or you may have a little tool that you tap in. Now on your left side, you're going to sew in your button at that other circle marking. So here is the finished top. I really like the shape and the flounce. So you may have noticed I cut my sleeve pieces a little bit longer because I have extra long arms. So you may wish to do this if you have the same problem as me, and it just gives me that extra and make sure that they're not up here when they're supposed to be to the wrist. Well, I hope you've enjoyed sewing along today. I think this is a really pretty blouse, and it'll look good in all kinds of fabrics. So you could try a linen, a georgette, a gauze. Just make sure that it's a lightweight type of fabric, so a lightweight cotton, a lightweight linen, because otherwise you won't get that drape with the frilly collar. So please let us know. We'd love to see any photographs if you've made this pattern before, so please include them in the comments below. Now maybe next time you could try it without the frill, or maybe do a short sleeve version. If you like what I'm wearing today, this is a lovely lightweight cotton from us at Minerva, so I'll link this product in also in case you're interested. This pattern I cobbled some of my own ideas and one from a magazine together, so I will link in a similar pattern in case you're wanting to make something like this. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope to be back soon with another video. Remember to like and follow Minerva to get more video content like this every week, and of course take a look at Minerva Craft Club to get 10% off all your orders for a whole year. That's all for today. Bye for now.